Hey guys, in the last video, you saw that Lucille joined the Healers Guild and started his training to become the best healer of all. Today, you'll see him venture into other places, face various challenges, and make new friends. With that said, let's get into the recap. Today's video starts with Lucille having a flashback of Monica talking about the corruption that infests all the healers' clinics in the city. He realizes it will be impossible to take the injured adventurers to a clinic since they are in a very critical state, and time is running out. Lucille sees no alternative and decides he will heal the injured adventurers himself. The first one is a girl, go figure. He attempts to heal her but fails on his first try. Then he focuses and makes a new attempt, this time successfully healing them one by one, until he reaches the last adventurer, but Lucille is already exhausted, and even before reaching the wounded adventurer, he collapses from fatigue. Before losing consciousness, Lucille sees the last wounded adventurer and thinks to himself that he failed, he should have saved them all. Later, Lucille recovers and starts to reflect on what happened. He feels sad for not being able to help the last adventurer and believes that with more training, this wouldn't have happened. Lucille makes a decision and declares that he will join the Adventurers Guild to level up and gain experience. He arrives at the guild and goes to the reception, where he is impressed and immediately speaks with the receptionist. Lucille quickly asks to register as an adventurer. As he looks at the receptionist's ears, he is very happy and calls her beautiful. The rabbit girl hands Lucille a form to fill out with his information. He does as she asks, and she confirms that everything is in order, and he has everything required to become an adventurer. She then explains how everything works to him, and now he is finally an adventurer. At some point, he asks if the guild accepts healing requests, and the girl is startled by his question. He introduces himself again and mentions that he is a healer. He asks if he can use his healing on the injured adventurers to gain experience as a healer, which surprises the girl as no one has made such a request before. Lucille also asks if someone there can teach him martial arts, and in exchange, he can heal all the injured adventurers. The rabbit girl calls another person to help decide whether this is possible or not. After a while, a huge guy appears alongside her, and Lucille introduces himself and explains his objectives. The guy becomes a bit defensive and says that it's a strange request coming from a healer. He seems suspicious, given the healer's bad reputation in the city. He asks Lucille why he wants to learn to fight, and Lucille simply responds that he doesn't want to be useless on the battlefield and mentions that even a weak monster could defeat him if he went on a journey right now. The guy reluctantly agrees to Lucille's proposal and says that he will pay him 1 silver coin a day. He asks Lucille when he will start. Lucille says that he can begin in 6 days, which is when his training at the Healers Guild ends. So it's decided. He uses the remaining time at the Healers Guild to train his magic as much as possible. After the 10 days of training are over, he bids farewell to the girls at the Healers Guild and heads to the Adventurers Guild. Upon arrival, he meets another girl at the reception and introduces himself. He finds her beautiful and mentions that all the girls in that world are beautiful. Then she guides him to go down the stairs to the underground training room. Down there, he meets Broad, who is happy and thought he would back out and give up. Lucille says he would never give up, he needs skills to survive. Soon, Broad begins the intense training, and Lucille starts running until he can't anymore. Literally until he can't anymore. Then Broad asks him to try to attack him. Lucille attempts to kick, but it's so weak that Broad easily stops him. Broad decides that he has a lot of training ahead to improve. The first day of training ends, and Lucille is completely exhausted. Broad tells Lucille that not many novices join them because they start with little money and quickly have to go on adventures to earn money. Many of them leave before actually becoming real adventurers. Then some badly wounded adventurers appear and ask if Lucille would really heal them for free. They don't believe it much, as clinics charge exorbitant prices, and few can afford treatment. Lucille quickly rushes to the injured girl and starts to heal her. After finishing the healing, the girl is very happy and thanks him profusely for curing her. Lucille asks if anyone else is injured and continues to heal them all. Broad then says he sees that Lucille really has the determination to continue the training, and says that if that's the case, he should live there in the guild to facilitate his training. Lucille gets scared and says he doesn't have money. Broad then says it's not a problem, as it will be free of charge. And besides, he will get 3 meals a day totally for free. Broad says he shouldn't be formal because he's only doing this so that he can increase the survival rate of beginner adventurers. And so it's decided. And right afterwards, Brod says he will prohibit him from leaving until his training is complete. Luciel gets worried and remembers everything he will go through. Luciel tries to negotiate, and asks if he can finish his training in 1 month. Brod smiles, and accepts, but says that he will have to train more than usual, if he wants to finish everything in a month. After that, Luciel goes to take a shower and then Brod gives him new clothes to wear. Then Manila, that rabbit girl, arrives and says that she will be in charge of washing his clothes. And Luciel feels embarrassed, and says that he wouldn't want to trouble her with that, and he would wash his clothes himself. By saying that, he makes the girl very sad, since she saw that you still haven't left a like on this video. Give it a like to make her happy. But after she gets sad, she makes a cute face and Luciel can't resist, and he finally agrees. He thanks her and says that one day he will repay her. Later, Luciel goes to the dining room and finds a table full of food just for him. At first, he thinks it's a lot, but after he starts eating and realizes that it's incredibly delicious, he eats non-stop until everything is devoured. He thanks for the food, and right afterwards, Brod takes him to where his room will be during the period of his training. Luciel lies down and goes to sleep, but he sees that it's still early and gets up to continue training his magic. The next day, Brod wakes him up early, and calls him to have breakfast in the dining room. Brod introduces Gulga to Luciel. He's the cook and bartender in the dining room. Gulgar says that nothing beats his food, and then shows a drink that looks kind of suspicious to Luciel. He says that the drink is disgusting, but if he really wants to evolve, he must drink the whole cup of that suspicious liquid. Well, I wouldn't drink that in any way. Tell me in the comments if you would dare. I bet you wouldn't either. Gulgar says that the liquid greatly increases his strength, endurance, and magic. The only problem is its horrible taste and smell. And he says that's why no one else wants to drink it to get strong. Luciel really wants to get strong as soon as possible, and he sees no alternatives, so the big guy chugs the cup, and quickly drinks all the liquid in it, thus surprising everyone who witnessed it. After drinking it, he feels very energetic and gets really excited for his training. Then he quickly eats his breakfast meat, and goes on to his training with Brod. Luciel trains hard every day. Brod doesn't go easy on him and keeps hammering the boy in training without mercy. But Luciel bravely resists and keeps training until he can't go any further. At some point, another girl appears and asks if there's someone there who is healing people for free. Luciel confirms and goes to her to ask if she is hurt. The girl confirms and shows her back. She says she was injured by a half-human half-rat. Luciel says he can heal the bites and stop the bleeding, but he can't cure any disease the rat might have passed on to her. She agrees, and he starts casting the healing spell. After he finishes, the girl feels very well, and starts crying with gratitude. Some time later, at night, Luciel goes to take his second daily dose of substance X. After taking it, he goes to his room, and while walking he complains a lot about the horrible taste of that. While walking through the corridor, he notices some people following him, but when he tries to talk to these people, they run away and don't say anything. The next day, he goes to talk to Brod about it, and asks what it could be. Brod responds that everyone is afraid that he will run away, and that's why they're watching him after training. They are very happy to be able to receive treatment from Luciel, and they don't want to lose that in case he gives up. Luciel, on his part, says that he gave his word that he would stay for a month, so they should trust him at least once. Some time later, a month has passed, and Luciel goes to talk to Brod. He says that now he will look for a job to pay his fees as a healer. Brod then says that if that's the case, he would pay him to continue training there for a while longer, and with that money, he could pay his fees. He says that thanks to him, many people have been saved from the brink, and he should accept it as a bonus. He also says that he's still an amateur in martial arts, and he should accept it graciously. At the end of that day, Brod presents him with a magic book, and Luciel becomes very happy, since by studying that book, he can learn more healing spells. And so, today's video comes to an end. Did you like it? Then go ahead and leave that smashing like and subscribe to the channel to not miss any video. Also, take the opportunity to comment what you thought of the video, alright? And finally, for those of you who are true fans and stayed until the end with me, I left a sensational video here on the final screen. It tells the story of Oliver, a boy who ends up in a sinister magic school, and there he encounters various mysteries and adventures. Click here on the screen and go check it out, it's totally worth it, alright? Until next time, see you later.